The ballroom glittered like 1,000 stars had fallen from the sky. Eleanor stood in the shadowed corner, her heart pounding against her ribs. She watched the dancers spin across the polished floor. Their laughter rang out like bells. Her stepmother's voice cut through the music like a knife. "Stand straight, you foolish girl. Though I suppose it matters little. No man will look at you anyway." Eleanor's hands trembled. She clutched her fan tighter. The dress her stepmother had given her was old. It had belonged to her stepsister 3 seasons ago. The pale green silk had faded to an ugly yellow. The seams strained with every breath she took. Her stepsister Victoria had been much smaller. The bodice dug into Eleanor's shoulders. The hem barely touched her ankles. "Mother, why did we even bring her?" Victoria's voice dripped with disgust. "She looks like a servant in that dreadful dress." "Hush now. Your father insisted. He has foolish notions about family duty." Her stepmother smoothed Victoria's perfect rose silk gown. "Besides, she makes you look all the more beautiful by comparison." Eleanor bit her lip hard. She tasted blood. The tears wanted to come. She had learned long ago not to let them fall. Not in front of these women. Not in front of anyone. She was 26 years old. Far too old for a first season. Far too plain to attract attention. Far too poor to bring anything to a marriage. Her father had died 2 years ago. He left everything to her stepmother. Eleanor had nothing, not even hope. The music swelled. A waltz began. Couples paired off across the floor. Eleanor pressed herself deeper into the corner. If she stayed very still, perhaps no one would notice her. Perhaps she could survive this night without more humiliation. But fate had other plans. A young gentleman stumbled backward. He had drunk too much wine. His elbow caught the edge of Eleanor's dress. She heard the terrible sound of fabric ripping. She looked down. Her heart stopped. The seam along her shoulder had torn completely. The sleeve hung loose. Her chemise showed through. The pale skin of her shoulder gleamed in the candlelight. "Oh dear," the young man slurred. He giggled. "Seems I've damaged the goods." He wandered away without apology. Eleanor's face burned. She tried to hold the fabric together. Her hands shook so badly she could barely manage it. People nearby had noticed. They whispered behind their fans. They pointed. They laughed. Victoria's voice carried across the room. "Mother, look. Eleanor's dress is torn." How mortifying. Everyone can see her undergarments. Eleanor wanted to disappear. She wished the floor would open and swallow her whole. She turned to flee. She needed to find somewhere to hide. Somewhere dark and quiet where shame could not find her. She rushed toward the terrace doors. The crowd seemed to part before her, or perhaps they moved away. Perhaps they did not want her disgrace to touch them. She pushed through the heavy doors. The cool night air hit her face. She gasped. The tears finally came. They streamed down her cheeks. She could not stop them. The terrace was empty. Thank God for small mercies. She stumbled to the far corner. The stone balustrade felt cold under her hands. She tried again to hold her dress together. It was useless. The tear was too large. She was ruined, completely and utterly ruined. "Miss, are you unwell?" Eleanor spun around, her breath caught. A man stood in the doorway. The light from the ballroom created a halo around him. She could not see his face clearly, but she saw his height, his broad shoulders, the perfect cut of his dark evening coat. "I am quite well, sir. Please, go back inside." Her voice broke. She turned away. She could not bear for him to see her like this. "You are not well. You are distressed." His voice was deep, soft. It held no mockery, no disgust. only concern. He moved closer. Eleanor pressed herself against the balustrade. She wished she could climb over it, throw herself into the gardens below. Anything to escape this moment. "Your dress is torn," he whispered. Eleanor sobbed. She could not help it. The words were so simple, so gentle. They broke something inside her. All the cruelty she had endured, all the years of being invisible, of being nothing, it all came pouring out in that single sob. She heard the rustle of fabric, felt warmth settle across her bare shoulders. She looked down. A coat. His coat. It was made of the finest wool. It smelled of sandalwood. And something else. Something masculine and clean. It was far too large for her. It covered her completely. It hid her shame. "There now," he said softly. "No one will see. You are safe." Eleanor could not speak, could not move. This stranger had shown her more kindness in one moment than her family had in 2 years. She did not understand. Men did not notice her. They certainly did not help her. "Why?" The word came out as barely a whisper. "Why what, miss? Why would you help me? You do not know me. I am nobody. Nothing." She felt him move beside her. He did not touch her, but she felt his presence. Solid, steady, real. "Every person deserves kindness," he said, "especially when they are in distress. And you, miss, are most certainly someone. Never let anyone tell you otherwise." Eleanor turned to look at him. The moonlight fell across his face. She caught her breath. He was beautiful, not in a pretty way, in a strong way. His jaw was hard. His nose had been broken at some point. His eyes were dark, but in them she saw something unexpected. Sadness. Deep and endless sadness. "Who are you?" she asked. "Alexander Blackwood, Duke of Thornfield." He bowed slightly. "At your service." Eleanor's heart sank. A duke. Of course he was a duke. The most powerful unmarried man in all of England. Wealthy beyond measure. Handsome beyond reason. And she was nothing but a poor relation in a torn dress. This kindness was even more painful because of who he was. Because it meant nothing. Because tomorrow he would not remember her face. "I am Eleanor Hartley," she said. "Nobody's daughter. Nobody's anything." "Then it seems we have something in common, Miss Hartley." She looked at him with confusion. "How could we possibly have anything in common? You are a duke. I am a duke who has everything and nothing." His voice was hollow. "I have wealth, title, property. Everything society says should make a man happy. Yet I wake each morning and wonder why I bother to open my eyes." Eleanor forgot her own misery for a moment. She heard the pain in his words. She recognized it. She had felt it herself every day for 2 years. "You have lost someone," she said quietly. "My wife. 2 years ago, childbirth. The babe as well." He spoke like each word cost him something. "I have not been the same since. I do not think I will ever be the same. I lost my father 2 years ago. He was all I had, all who loved me. Without him, I am just a burden, something to be tolerated and despised." They stood in silence. 2 broken souls under the moonlight. The music drifted from the ballroom. It seemed very far away, like it belonged to another world, a world where they did not exist. "You should not be out here alone with me," the Duke said finally. "It is not proper. You could be compromised." Eleanor laughed. It was a bitter sound. "My lord, I am already compromised. I am 26. Unmarried. Poor. Plain. My reputation could not be more damaged if I tried." "You are not plain. Please do not lie to me. I see myself in the mirror. I hear what people say. Then they are blind and stupid. His voice was fierce. You have kind eyes, a gentle face. That is worth more than all the painted beauty in that ballroom. Eleanor's throat tightened. No one had ever called her beautiful, not even in jest. She did not know what to say, how to respond to such unexpected words. Come, the Duke said. Let me escort you to your carriage. You should not have to go back inside, not tonight. My stepmother will be angry. She will say I abandoned them. Then let her be angry. I will speak to her if needed. I am a duke, after all. Even cruel stepmothers listen to dukes. Eleanor smiled despite herself. It was a small smile, but it was real. The first real smile she had given in months. The Duke offered his arm. Eleanor hesitated. Then she took it. His arm was solid beneath her fingers. Strong. She felt something shift inside her chest. Something warm and terrifying. Hope. Dangerous, foolish hope. They walked back through the ballroom together. Eleanor kept her head high. The Duke's coat covered her shame. His presence shielded her from the stares. People moved aside. They bowed. They curtsied. Not to her. Never to her. But she was with him. For this brief moment, she was under his protection. Her stepmother stood near the refreshment table. Her face went pale when she saw Eleanor on the Duke's arm. She rushed forward. Her expression was a mask of concern. Eleanor knew it was false. Your Grace, how kind of you to assist my dear stepdaughter. I hope she has not been too much trouble. No trouble at all, madam. Miss Hartley experienced a small accident with her gown. I have arranged for my carriage to take her home. She should not have to endure any more discomfort tonight. The stepmother's eyes widened. Your carriage? Oh, but surely that is too much. We have our own. I insist. The Duke's voice was cold. Eleanor heard the command in it, the power. Her stepmother heard it too. Of course, Your Grace. How very generous, Eleanor. Thank His Grace properly. Eleanor curtsied. Thank you, my lord. Your kindness will not be forgotten. The Duke looked at her. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Something neither of them understood. Something that felt like the beginning of a story rather than the end. Good evening, Miss Hartley. I hope we shall meet again soon. Then he was gone. Disappeared back into the crowd of glittering people. Eleanor stood holding his coat. Her stepmother's fingers dug into her arm. What did you do? How did you manage to trap the Duke's attention? Tell me now. I did nothing. He was kind. That is all. Kind? Dukes are not kind without reason. What did you promise him? What did you do? Nothing. I swear it. He found me on the terrace. My dress had torn. He gave me his coat. That is all that happened. Victoria appeared at her mother's side. Her face was twisted with jealousy. She must have thrown herself at him. That is the only explanation. She deliberately tore her dress to gain his sympathy. Eleanor was too tired to argue, too tired to defend herself. She let them believe what they wanted. It did not matter. Tomorrow the Duke would forget her. She would return to her small room in the attic. She would return to her life of quiet desperation. Tonight had been a dream, nothing more. But 3 days later, everything changed. A messenger arrived at the house. He carried a letter sealed with the Duke of Thornfield's crest. Eleanor's stepmother tore it open. Her hands shook. She read it once, twice, 3 times. Her face went from white to red to white again. This cannot be real, she whispered. What is it, mother? Victoria grabbed for the letter. The stepmother snatched it back. She looked at Eleanor. Her expression was impossible to read. Shock, anger, disbelief, maybe a touch of fear. The Duke of Thornfield requests your presence at Thornfield Manor. He wishes to discuss a matter of great importance. Her voice was flat, dead. What matter? Eleanor's heart raced. He does not say, but a duke does not summon unmarried young women to his home unless... She could not finish the sentence. Unless what? Eleanor whispered. Unless he intends to make an offer of marriage. The world tilted. Eleanor grabbed the back of a chair. Marriage? To her? It was impossible. Ridiculous. There must be some mistake. This is my chance. Victoria shrieked. He must have meant to invite me. Eleanor must have given them the wrong name. Do not be stupid. The letter clearly states Eleanor Hartley. There is no mistake. The stepmother paced the room. But why? Why would a duke want to marry her? She has no money, no connections, no beauty. What could he possibly want? Eleanor did not know, could not imagine. But something inside her whispered. Maybe he is lonely. Maybe he saw something in you that night. Maybe, just maybe he wants the same thing you want. Someone who understands pain. Someone who knows what it feels like to have everything and nothing at the same time. You will go tomorrow, her stepmother said. You will be polite, agreeable. If he truly intends to offer for you, you will accept immediately. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the only chance you will ever have. Do not ruin it with your usual awkwardness. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not give opinions. Just agree with everything he says. Eleanor nodded. But inside, something rebelled. She did not want to be agreeable and silent. She wanted to be herself. Even if herself was not good enough, even if it meant he would reject her. She was tired of pretending, tired of being invisible. That night, Eleanor could not sleep. She lay in her small bed in the attic. The wind rattled the windows. She thought about the Duke's sad eyes, his gentle words, the way he had covered her shame without hesitation. She thought about his dead wife, the child he had lost, the emptiness he carried. She understood that emptiness. She lived in it every day. Maybe that was why he had noticed her. Not because she was beautiful or charming, but because he recognized a fellow traveler in the land of loss. Someone who understood the weight of grief, the loneliness of surviving when part of you had died. Morning came too quickly. Eleanor dressed in her best gown. It was not very good. The fabric was cheap. The color was dull brown. But it was clean and whole. Her stepmother insisted on coming with her. A chaperone was required. Eleanor wished she could go alone, but society had rules. Even dukes could not break them all. The carriage ride to Thornfield Manor took 3 hours. Eleanor watched the countryside roll past. Fields gave way to forests. Small cottages gave way to grand estates. Finally, they turned down a long drive lined with ancient oak trees. Thornfield Manor rose before them like something from a dream. It was built of grey stone. Tall windows gleamed in the sunlight. Gardens stretched in every direction. Fountains sparkled. Statues watched from alcoves. It was the most beautiful place Eleanor had ever seen. A butler met them at the door. He was ancient and dignified. He bowed. "Miss Hartley, His Grace is expecting you. Please follow me." Eleanor's stepmother tried to follow. The butler stopped her. "Forgive me, madam. His Grace wishes to speak with Miss Hartley alone. You may wait in the drawing room. Refreshments will be brought." The stepmother's mouth fell open. "Alone? But that is most improper. His Grace assures me that propriety will be observed." Mrs. Hewitt, the housekeeper, will be present as chaperone. Eleanor almost laughed at her stepmother's expression, but she controlled herself. She followed the butler down a long hallway. Paintings lined the walls. Ancestors with stern faces watched her pass. She felt like an imposter, like someone had made a terrible mistake. The butler stopped before a heavy oak door. He knocked once. A voice called from within. "Enter." Eleanor stepped inside, her breath caught. The room was a library. Books covered every wall from floor to ceiling. A fire crackled in the enormous fireplace. Windows looked out over the gardens, and there, standing before the fire, was the Duke. He turned when she entered. Their eyes met. Eleanor's heart did something strange. It jumped and fluttered and ached all at once. "Miss Hartley, thank you for coming." He bowed. "Please sit." Eleanor sat in the chair he indicated. It was soft and comfortable. She perched on the edge, her hands folded in her lap. She did not know what to do, what to say. She had never been more terrified in her life. The Duke did not sit. He paced before the fire, his hands clasped behind his back. He looked nervous. Eleanor found that strange. What did a duke have to be nervous about? "I will be direct, Miss Hartley. I do not believe in wasting time with pretty words." He stopped pacing, looked at her. "I need a wife. You need a home. I propose a marriage of convenience. Nothing more." Eleanor felt her heart sink. Of course, how foolish she had been. How stupid to hope for anything else. He did not want her. Not really. He just wanted someone to fill a role. Any woman would do. She simply happened to be available. "I see," she said quietly. "I do not expect love, Miss Hartley. I had that once. I will not find it again. But I need an heir. Society demands it. My family demands it. I have avoided the marriage market for 2 years. I cannot avoid it any longer. Why me, Your Grace? Surely there are more suitable women. Women with dowries and connections. I do not want a woman who expects love, who dreams of romance. I want someone practical. Someone who understands that this is a transaction. I saw that in you the other night. You are practical, sensible. You do not harbor foolish hopes." Eleanor flinched. His words hurt, even though they were true. Even though she had no right to be hurt. She was practical, sensible. She had learned not to hope. But hearing him say it felt like being slapped. "What would you expect from me?" she asked. "To be my wife in name, to run my household, to appear at social functions when required, to provide an heir if possible. In return, you would have financial security, a home, protection. You would never have to return to your stepmother's house. You would be free, free." The word hung in the air. Eleanor turned it over in her mind. She would never be cold again, never be hungry, never be mocked. She would be a duchess. People would bow to her, but she would also be married to a man who could never love her, who saw her as practical and sensible, who wanted her because she would not bother him with messy emotions. "I need time to think," she said. The Duke looked surprised. "Most women would accept immediately." "I am not most women, Your Grace. This is my life you are asking for, not just my hand. I think I deserve a day to consider it." Something flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe, or surprise. He nodded slowly. "Of course, you are quite right. Take all the time you need. I will send word tomorrow for your answer." Eleanor stood. She curtsied. "Thank you, Your Grace, for your offer, for your honesty. I will give you my answer tomorrow." She turned to leave. His voice stopped her. "Miss Hartley, I want you to know I will treat you with respect, with kindness. I will never raise my hand to you, never mock you, never make you feel small. I can offer you safety even if I cannot offer you love." Eleanor looked back at him. She saw the truth in his face. He meant every word, and in that moment, she made her decision. "I do not need a day, Your Grace. I accept your offer." His eyes widened. "You are certain?" "Yes, you are right. I am practical. And practically speaking, this is the best offer I will ever receive. Perhaps the only offer. I would be a fool to refuse." "Then we are agreed. I will arrange for the banns to be read. We can be married within a month." "So soon?" "There is no reason to wait. Unless you wish for a long engagement." Eleanor shook her head. "No, a month is fine. The sooner I leave my stepmother's house, the better." Something like anger flashed across his face. "She is cruel to you. She is not kind. But that will be over soon. Thanks to you." They stood, looking at each other. Two strangers who would soon be married, who would share a name, a home, a bed, but who would never share their hearts. Eleanor felt a deep sadness settle over her, but also relief. She would be safe. That was more than she had ever dared to hope for. The wedding took place on a grey morning in October. Rain threatened but never fell. The church was small. Only family attended. Eleanor wore a simple white gown. Her stepmother had refused to pay for anything better. The Duke did not seem to notice or care. Eleanor walked down the aisle alone. No one to give her away. She kept her eyes on the Duke, waiting at the altar. He looked handsome in his dark coat. His face was expressionless. She wondered what he was thinking. If he regretted this choice. If he wished he was marrying someone else. The ceremony was short. The vicar spoke the ancient words. Eleanor repeated her vows in a quiet voice. The Duke's voice was strong and clear. He slid a ring onto her finger. Gold with a single sapphire. It was beautiful. It was cold. "You may kiss the bride." The Duke leaned down. He pressed his lips to hers briefly. It was not a kiss of passion. It was a kiss of obligation. A sealing of the contract. Eleanor felt nothing, only the relief that it was done. She was married. She was safe. The wedding breakfast was awkward. Victoria glared at Eleanor through the entire meal. Her stepmother was sickeningly sweet. She called Eleanor "dear daughter" and "Your Grace" in every other sentence. Eleanor saw through it. The woman was already calculating how to use Eleanor's new position for her own benefit. Finally, it was time to leave. Eleanor said goodbye to no one. She had no one to say goodbye to. The Duke handed her into his carriage. They drove away from the church, away from the only life Eleanor had ever known, towards something new and unknown and terrifying. They did not speak during the journey. The Duke read papers. Eleanor looked out the window. The silence was not comfortable, but it was not hostile either. It simply was. When they arrived at Thornfield Manor, the servants lined up to greet their new mistress. The butler bowed. The housekeeper curtsied. A young maid smiled shyly. Eleanor tried to smile back, to look like a proper duchess, but she felt like a fraud, like someone playing dress-up in clothes that did not fit. "Mrs. Hewitt will show you to your rooms," the Duke said. "Dinner is at 8. I will see you then." He walked away, left her standing in the grand entrance hall with the housekeeper. Eleanor felt her heart sink lower. She was his wife, but clearly she was not his companion, not his friend. Not anything but a duty fulfilled. "This way, Your Grace." Mrs. Hewitt's voice was kind. She was a round woman with grey hair and warm eyes. "I think you will find your rooms very comfortable." The rooms were more than comfortable. They were magnificent. A sitting room decorated in cream and gold. A bedroom with a canopy bed large enough for 4 people. A dressing room filled with gowns. Eleanor stopped in shock. Where did these come from? She touched a silk gown. It was beautiful, rich blue, with silver embroidery. "His Grace ordered them for you, ma'am. He wanted you to have everything you needed. But he did not know my size. How did he?" Mrs. Hewitt smiled. "He is very observant, Your Grace, and very thorough. If something does not fit properly, the seamstress will come alter it." Eleanor felt tears prick her eyes. He had done this, thought of this, made sure she had fine things. Not because he loved her, but because he was kind. Because he kept his promises. She remembered his words. "I will treat you with respect, with kindness." "Thank you, Mrs. Hewitt." "Of course, Your Grace. Sarah will be your lady's maid. She is young but very capable. If you need anything at all, you have only to ask." "Where are the Duke's rooms?" Mrs. Hewitt hesitated. "Through that door, ma'am. His sitting room adjoins yours. But he has not used that door since his first wife died. He takes his rooms in the East Wing now, so they would not even be in the same part of the house." Eleanor was not surprised, but it hurt anyway. She was his wife only in name. Truly only in name. That evening, Eleanor dressed carefully for dinner. She chose a green gown from her new wardrobe. Sarah styled her hair. Eleanor barely recognized herself in the mirror. She looked like a duchess, like someone who belonged in this grand house. But inside, she still felt like poor Eleanor Hartley, the girl no one wanted. Dinner was served in a dining room that could seat 30. Eleanor sat at one end of the long table. The Duke sat at the other end. 20 feet of polished mahogany stretched between them. They might as well have been in different countries. "How are you finding your rooms?" the Duke asked. "They are lovely, Your Grace. Thank you for the gowns. That was very thoughtful. It was necessary. A duchess must dress appropriately." "Of course, necessary. Not thoughtful. Just another duty fulfilled." They ate in silence. Servants brought course after course: soup, fish, meat, vegetables, dessert. Eleanor barely tasted any of it. She wanted to say something. Anything, but she did not know what. She did not know this man, her husband. He was a stranger. After dinner, the Duke excused himself. "I have work to attend to in my study. Good night, Your Grace." Eleanor watched him go. Then she went to her rooms. She dismissed Sarah. She sat by the fire in her sitting room. Her beautiful, empty sitting room. And she cried. Not from sadness exactly, from loneliness. From the realization that this was her life now. Safe, comfortable, and utterly alone. The days fell into a pattern. Eleanor rarely saw her husband. He took breakfast in his study. He rode out to inspect his lands. He met with his steward and his tenants. He was always busy, always occupied. Eleanor was left to manage the house, to direct the servants, to fill her days with meaningless tasks. She explored the manor. The library became her favorite place. She spent hours reading, losing herself in stories of adventure and romance, stories that would never be hers. Mrs. Hewitt was kind. She taught Eleanor about running a great house, how to plan menus, how to manage staff, how to keep accounts. Eleanor learned quickly. She was intelligent, capable. She threw herself into the work. It kept her mind occupied, kept her from thinking too much about her cold, empty marriage. 2 weeks passed. Eleanor saw her husband only at dinner. Their conversations were polite, meaningless. "How was your day?" "Fine, thank you." "The weather is pleasant." "Indeed it is." She wanted to scream, to demand more, to ask why he had married her if he meant to ignore her completely, but she stayed silent. She had agreed to this. She had no right to complain. Then one evening, everything changed. Eleanor came down to dinner. She found the Duke already there. He stood by the window. His shoulders were tense. Something was wrong. She could feel it. "Your Grace, are you well?" He turned. His face was pale. His eyes were haunted. "I received a letter today from my late wife's mother. She is coming to visit. She arrives tomorrow." Eleanor's heart sank. "I see. That is that not good news?" "No." His voice was harsh. "She blames me for her daughter's death. She always has. She will come here to torment me, to remind me of everything I lost, everything I failed to protect." Eleanor moved closer. She wanted to comfort him, but she did not know how. They were not that kind of married couple. "I am sure she is simply grieving," Eleanor said gently. "People say cruel things when they are in pain. You do not know her. She is not simply grieving. She is vicious. And now she will turn that viciousness on you as well." "On me?" "Why? Because you have taken her daughter's place. She will hate you for that. I am sorry. I should have warned you. Should have prepared you." Eleanor straightened her shoulders. "I have dealt with cruelty before, Your Grace. I suspect I can handle one grieving mother." He looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time since their wedding. "You are stronger than you appear, are you not?" "I have had to be." Something shifted in his expression, softened. "I am glad I married you, Eleanor. I have not said that, but I am glad." It was the first time he had used her Christian name. The sound of it on his lips made her chest tight. "Thank you, Alexander." She had never called him by name before. Always, Your Grace, or my lord. But in that moment, it felt right. They were husband and wife. Even if only in name, they should at least use each other's names. He smiled. It was small, sad, but real. "Come, let us eat. Tomorrow will be difficult. We should face it with full stomachs at least." That night, they sat closer at the table, not at opposite ends. He took the seat beside hers. They talked, real conversation, about books, about his lands, about her childhood before her father died. It was the first time she had seen him as a person, not just a duke, not just a lonely widower, but a man, intelligent, kind, wounded. The next day, Lady Pemberton arrived like a storm. She was tall and thin. Her face was sharp. Her eyes were cold. She swept into the drawing room without greeting, without even acknowledging Eleanor's presence. "Alexander, you look unwell. Grief ages a man, does it not?"
"Lady Pemberton, welcome to Thornfield."
The Duke's voice was stiff, formal. "Welcome? I would be more welcome if my daughter still lived, if you had not killed her." Eleanor gasped. The accusation was so cruel, so unfair. Lady Pemberton finally looked at her. "And who is this? The replacement? How quickly you have forgotten my Catherine." "I have forgotten nothing," Alexander said quietly. "This is my wife, Eleanor, Duchess of Thornfield. You will treat her with respect." "Respect for the woman who sleeps in my daughter's bed? Who wears my daughter's title? I think not." Eleanor stood. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "I am sorry for your loss, Lady Pemberton. Truly, but I am not your daughter. I do not pretend to be. I am simply trying to build a life here, as the Duke's wife. A life built on my daughter's grave. How noble of you. That is enough. Alexander's voice cracked like a whip. You will apologize to my wife, or you will leave my house immediately. Lady Pemberton's mouth fell open. Clearly she had not expected such defense. She was used to cowing Alexander with her grief, her accusations. I will not apologize to her. She is nothing, a nobody who trapped you with her pathetic neediness. She is everything you are not. Kind, gentle, understanding. She does not wield her pain as a weapon, and I will not stand by while you insult her in her own home. Eleanor's heart swelled. He was defending her, standing up for her. No one had ever done that before. You have changed, Lady Pemberton said coldly. Catherine would be ashamed of you. Catherine would want me to be happy, to live again. She told me so, as she lay dying. She made me promise not to lock myself away in grief. I have finally begun to honor that promise. Thanks to Eleanor. Lady Pemberton looked between them, her face twisted with fury. You are falling in love with her. With this plain, common creature. Alexander froze. Eleanor's breath stopped. Love? Was he? Could he be? That is not your concern, Alexander said finally. Your presence here is no longer welcome. I ask you to leave. Gladly. I cannot bear to watch this travesty any longer. Lady Pemberton swept toward the door. She paused, looked back at Eleanor. He will never truly love you. You will always be second best, the substitute. Remember that. Then she was gone. The room fell silent. Eleanor sank into her chair. Her legs would not hold her. She felt like she had been through a battle. Alexander knelt beside her chair. He took her hands. His touch was warm, solid, real. Are you all right? He asked. I think so. That was, she is. Terrible. Yes. I am so sorry you had to endure that. I should have protected you better. You did protect me. You stood up for me. No one has ever done that before. Eleanor's voice broke. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Thank you. Eleanor. He cupped her face in his hands, wiped away her tears with his thumbs. You are not second best. You are not a substitute. You are my wife, and I am beginning to realize what a gift that is. Eleanor's heart hammered. She looked into his eyes, saw something there she had not seen before. Warmth, tenderness. The beginning of something that might someday be love. I am glad I married you too, she whispered. Even though it was supposed to be practical, even though neither of us expected anything more, I am glad it was you. He leaned forward slowly, giving her time to pull away. She did not. His lips met hers. This kiss was nothing like their wedding kiss. This was soft, sweet, full of possibility. Eleanor's first real kiss. Her first moment of feeling truly wanted. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. Alexander rested his forehead against hers. I do not know if I can love again, he said quietly. The fear of losing someone, of that pain. It nearly destroyed me once. I am not sure I am brave enough to risk it again. I do not know if I can believe someone could love me. Eleanor replied, I have been told I am unworthy for so long. It is difficult to believe anything else. Then perhaps we can learn together. Learn to be brave, learn to believe, learn to love. Eleanor smiled through her tears. Perhaps we can. From that day forward, everything changed. Alexander began taking breakfast with Eleanor. They rode together in the mornings. He showed her his lands. introduced her to his tenants. She saw how much he cared for the people who depended on him, how seriously he took his responsibilities. Eleanor transformed Vanna. She opened up rooms that had been shut since Catherine's death. She brought in fresh flowers, new curtains, light and air and life. The servants noticed. They smiled more, laughed. The whole house felt different, happier. In the evenings, Alexander and Eleanor sat together in the library. He read to her. She worked on her embroidery. Sometimes they just talked about everything and nothing. Their hopes, their fears, their dreams for the future. Slowly, carefully, they fell in love. It was not a sudden thing. Not a lightning bolt. It was quiet, gradual, a deepening of affection, a growing trust. Eleanor began to see all the ways Alexander was extraordinary, his kindness to his servants, his generosity to the poor on his lands, his intelligence, his dry sense of humor that made her laugh. Alexander saw Eleanor's strength, the way she took charge of the household, how she befriended the servants, how she brought joy wherever she went. He watched her read to the gardener's children, nurse a sick maid back to health, comfort a tenant whose husband had died. She had a gift for caring, for making people feel seen and valued. 1 month became 2, 2 became 3. Winter came, snow covered the grounds. Eleanor and Alexander were snowed in for a week. They spent every moment together, playing cards, reading, talking by the fire. It was the happiest week of Eleanor's life. One evening, as they sat together, Alexander took her hand. "Eleanor, I need to tell you something." She looked at him. Her heart raced. "What is it?" "I love you." The words came out rushed, as if he had been holding them back for too long. "I did not think I could, did not think I would, but I do. I love you so much, it terrifies me." Eleanor could not breathe, could not think. "You love me?" "Yes. I love the way you laugh, the way you care for everyone around you, the way you make this house feel like a home again. I love your strength, your kindness, your beautiful heart. I love all of you." "I am not beautiful," Eleanor whispered. Old wounds died hard. "You are, to me, you are the most beautiful woman I have ever known. Even more than Catherine." Eleanor regretted the question immediately. She should not have asked, should not have compared. But Alexander did not look angry. He looked thoughtful. "Catherine was beautiful. I loved her, but we were very young. I do not think we truly knew each other, not the way you and I know each other. With you I can be myself, all of myself. Even the broken parts. You do not expect me to be perfect. You accept me as I am." "Because you accept me as I am," Eleanor said, "you make me feel worthy, valuable. For the first time in my life, I feel like I matter. You matter more than anything." Eleanor threw her arms around his neck. She kissed him with all the love that had been building in her heart, all the joy, all the gratitude, all the passion she had been too afraid to show. Alexander kissed her back. His arms came around her, held her close. She felt safe, cherished, loved. "I love you too," she whispered against his lips. "I think I have loved you since the night you gave me your coat. Since you showed me kindness when I had nothing." "You had everything," he said. "You just did not know it yet." They moved to his bedroom that night. Finally became husband and wife in truth. It was gentle, tender. Nothing like Eleanor had feared. Alexander worshipped her with his hands, his lips, his words. He made her feel beautiful, desired, precious. Afterward, they lay tangled together. Eleanor's head on his chest, his fingers running through her hair. I was so scared, Alexander said quietly. When I started falling in love with you, I thought I was betraying Catherine, betraying my grief. Loving again is not betrayal, Eleanor said. It is healing. It is choosing to live. I know that now, because of you. We healed each other, Eleanor said. You gave me value. I gave you hope. We saved each other. Yes, we did. They fell asleep like that. Two broken people who had become whole. Two lonely souls who had found home. The next months were blissful. Alexander and Eleanor were inseparable. The servants gossiped about how in love the Duke and Duchess were, how they held hands during dinner, how they walked through the gardens with their arms around each other, how they smiled all the time. Eleanor bloomed under Alexander's love. She gained confidence, stood taller, laughed louder. She was no longer the frightened girl in the torn dress. She was a duchess, a woman, beloved and valued. Alexander shed his grief like an old coat. He smiled more, joked with his tenants, threw a ball for the local gentry. He was no longer the heartbroken widower. He was a man in love, a husband, happy. But their happiness was tested one final time. In the spring, Eleanor's stepmother came to call. She had heard about Eleanor's transformation, about her happiness, and she wanted to destroy it. "Eleanor, darling," she cooed as she entered the drawing room. "Look at you, playing the Duchess. How charming." "Lady Hartley," Eleanor's voice was cool. "To what do I owe this visit? Can a mother not visit her daughter? You are not my mother." "Technically true, but I raised you, cared for you, and this is how you repay me. You never visit, never write, never send money. After all I did for you." "All you did?" Eleanor's voice rose. "You treated me like a servant, mocked me, dressed me in rags, made me feel worthless. I prepared you for reality. I taught you your place. You should be thanking me." Alexander appeared in the doorway. His face was cold, furious. "I think it is time for you to leave." "Your Grace, I was just telling Eleanor how pleased I am to see her so well situated. She owes so much to my guidance." "She owes you nothing. You abused her, tormented her, made her believe she was worthless when she is extraordinary. Leave my house, now." "But surely we can discuss this reasonably. I am family after all. Eleanor's family." "Eleanor's only family is me," Alexander said. "And our future children. You have no place here, no claim on her. She is done with you." Eleanor stood. She walked to stand beside her husband. Her hand slipped into his. He squeezed it gently. "He is right," Eleanor said. Her voice was strong, clear. "I am done with you, done being made to feel small, done accepting cruelty. I am the Duchess of Thornfield. I am loved. I am valued, and you have no power over me anymore." Her stepmother's face turned ugly. "You think you are so grand now, but I know the truth. You are still plain little Eleanor, unwanted, unloved. He will tire of you eventually, see the truth. And then, where will you be?" "I will be right here," Alexander said. "In 50 years, I will still be by her side, still loving her, still thanking God that she agreed to marry me. Because she is the best thing that ever happened to me, and nothing you say will change that." Eleanor felt tears prick her eyes, happy tears, grateful tears. Her stepmother saw she had lost. She gathered her skirts. "You will regret this." "The only thing I regret is not standing up to you sooner," Eleanor said. "Goodbye, Lady Hartley. Do not return." They watched her leave. The carriage pulled away down the drive. Eleanor felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She was free, truly free. Her past no longer had any hold over her. "Are you all right?" Alexander asked. "I am perfect." Eleanor smiled up at him. "Because I have you. Because I finally know my worth. Because I am home." Alexander pulled her into his arms, kissed her deeply. "I am so proud of you. You were magnificent. I learned from the best. You stood up for me when I could not stand up for myself. You taught me that I deserve kindness, respect, love. You taught me to live again, to hope, to love. We are even." That summer, Eleanor discovered she was with child. Alexander was overjoyed, terrified too. Memories of Catherine's death haunted him, but Eleanor held his hand, reminded him that this was a different time, a different woman, a different child. They would face it together. The pregnancy was easy. Eleanor bloomed. She grew round and beautiful. Alexander hovered, worried, drove the doctor mad with his constant questions. Eleanor laughed at him, kissed his fears away. On a cold December morning, Eleanor's labor began. Alexander paced outside her door. He heard her cries. Each one was a knife to his heart. He prayed, bargained with God, promised anything if she would be all right. After hours that felt like days, a baby's cry rang out, strong and healthy. The door opened. The doctor smiled. "Your Grace, you have a son. Mother and child are both well." Alexander rushed inside. Eleanor lay in bed, tired, but smiling. In her arms was a tiny bundle. His son, his heir, his future. "He is perfect," Eleanor whispered. Alexander knelt beside the bed, touched his son's tiny hand. The baby grasped his finger. His heart melted completely. "Thank you," he said to Eleanor. "Thank you for this, for him, for everything. We made him together. We will raise him together, with all the love we never had." They named him Thomas. He had Eleanor's eyes, Alexander's dark hair. He was adored by everyone in the household. The servants spoiled him. Mrs. Hewitt knitted endless tiny sweaters. The gardener carved him wooden toys. Eleanor was a wonderful mother, patient, gentle, full of laughter. She sang to Thomas, read to him, played with him for hours. Alexander watched them together. His heart was so full it ached. He had never imagined this kind of happiness was possible. One evening, when Thomas was a year old, Eleanor and Alexander stood on the terrace, the same terrace where they had first met, where their story had begun. "Do you remember the night we met?" Eleanor asked. "Every detail," Alexander said. "You stood here in that terrible torn dress, looking so lost, so alone. I knew I had to help you. You gave me your coat, covered my shame. I thought you would forget me by morning. I could not stop thinking about you, your kind eyes, your sad smile, the way you accepted my simple act of kindness like it was a miracle. It was a miracle. You were a miracle." Eleanor leaned against him. His arms came around her. "I was so broken, so convinced I was worthless. And then you saw me, really saw me. I saw someone beautiful, strong, worth loving. I see that now too, because you taught me, you loved me, until I could love myself. And you loved me back to life, pulled me from my grief, gave me a future." They stood together watching the stars. Their son slept upstairs. Their home was full of love. Their future stretched before them bright with promise. "I love you," Eleanor said, "more than words can ever say. And I love you more than I knew was possible." They kissed under the stars. Two people who had been broken and lonely and lost, Two people who had found each other in the darkness, who had built a life together, a family, a love that would last forever. Years later, Eleanor would tell their grandchildren the story about the night her dress tore, about the Duke who gave her his coat, about how one small act of kindness had changed everything. The children would listen with wide eyes. They would ask her to tell it again and again, and she would smile. Remember that cold terrace. That moment of shame turned to hope, and she would thank God for torn silk and tender hearts, for second chances, for love found in the most unexpected places. Because sometimes the greatest love stories begin with the smallest gestures, a coat given, a kindness shown, a heart opened when it seemed impossible, and from those small seeds, entire lives could bloom, entire families could grow, entire worlds could be transformed. Eleanor and Alexander lived that truth every day. Their love grew deeper with each passing year. They had 3 more children. They grew old together. They laughed and argued and loved and lived, and they never forgot that first night, when everything changed, when a torn dress and a gentle whisper began the greatest adventure of their lives. Their story became a legend in the village. The Duke who loved his Duchess, the woman who had transformed from nothing to everything. Young couples would walk past Thornfield Manor, look up at the lit windows, hope that someday they too might find such love. And sometimes, on quiet evenings, Eleanor and Alexander would stand on that same terrace, remember, hold hands, and know that every moment of pain had been worth it. Every tear, every hardship, every lonely night, because all of it had led them here, together, home. That is the magic of love. It transforms, it heals, it makes the impossible possible. It takes broken pieces and creates something beautiful, something whole, something forever. And it all began with 3 simple words. Your dress is torn, followed by one simple action. He slowly removed his coat to cover her bare shoulders. In that moment, everything changed. 2 lives intersected, 2 souls recognized each other. 2 hearts began the journey toward forever. This is their story. A story of cruelty overcome, of worth discovered, of love triumphant. A story that proves kindness matters, that gentle gestures have power, that broken people can heal each other, that love, real love, conquers all. And they lived happily ever after. Not because life was perfect, but because they faced it together, with hands joined, hearts open, love leading the way, forever and always.